Okay, I got the message. It's obvious that people like funny songs. Not that I'm one to pander, but who am I kidding? I am one to pander. Especially when it's so obvious that my listeners like to listen to my funny stuff. A quick analysis shows that over a quarter of all of my streams come from Season 1, Episode 9, Funny Songs. Unfortunately, some of my funniest songs are in my least viewed episodes. To rectify that situation, I decided that this episode will be a collection of funny songs from those most neglected episodes. I know some of you are thinking, clip scenes episode, and you'd be right. It's easy for me and entertaining for my audience. So I reached out to the Tim Tunes podcast group on Facebook for suggestions on what to include. If you don't like these songs, please complain to them. For all of my regular listeners, I apologize in advance. I've also included a few new tunes for you to enjoy. I hope you get at least a little chuckle, giggle, snort, or guffaw. Hi, I'm Tim Rose, and this is the Tim Tunes Podcast. In this episode, we'll cover 4 songs that are funny and that have been laughed at by real people and live audiences. The first song is a little ditty about my mother's maiden name, followed by a poke at our medical coverage process in the U.S., and then a little tune about the facts of life, and finally, a little lecture on the nature of truth and reality. This song was originally featured in Season 1, Episode 5, titled Family. Based on my mother's maiden name, it was her favorite song of mine. Hopefully this next song will lighten the mood and bring a smile to your face, and maybe even give you a little chuckle, if not a laugh out loud. This song really is about my mother's maiden name. I recorded this in my studio in the 2005 time frame. I went all out for internal rhymes on this one. Oh, and just a heads up. While there's nothing in this song that would give it an R rating, some might consider the concepts to be a bit rude, or at least something that you may not want to explain to your child. You've been warned. Okay, here we go with Maiden Name.
Sometimes the truth can be stranger than fiction. Sometimes confession needs its due, because names can have a way of causing some affliction, especially when that name belongs to you. This is the story of my mother's maiden name, as told from her son's point of view. A story told in innocence, but not one told in shame, for no one is to blame for this abuse. Her name is Dyke, that's right, D-Y-K-E with no van of on, soften the blow. Her name is Dyke, that's right, you see why I might have a little tale you'd like to know. Well, they say that it is all the same what it is that's in a name, and a rose by any other would smell sweet. But when the name that names a wall that once stood up so wet and tall stands for something else, it's bittersweet. Perhaps it was an aberration of an appellation that gave my kin the nickname that he bore. Would have been cute to call him Mikey, but instead we dubbed him Dikey. We don't call him Dikey anymore. His name is Dyke, that's right, D-Y-K-E with no van or von to soften the blow. His name is Dyke, that's right, you see why I might have a little tale you'd like to know. Well, I did not know the double meaning, and that mom's name could be demeaning. till sometime after I flew the nest. I was sitting in the local pub, gulping down some suds and grub, when in two ladies came walking abreast. A friend of mine, as an aside, said words to me he thought were snide, but I mistook the meaning of his quip. I sauntered over to the pair, they look at me as I declare, I hear that you're both dykes, ain't that a trip? I called them dykes, that's right, D-Y-K-E with no fan of on to soften the blow. I called them dykes, that's right, you see why I might have a little tale you'd like to know. Well, as she stood I realized that though she's only half my size, I'm leery of the damage she could do. As I detect that's not her sister, all I can do is choke a whisper, I just thought you'd like to know, I'm half dyke too. Well, I wish you could have seen us then, as frowns and fears turned into grins, and suddenly we all just laughed out loud. They explained to me as we got jolly the reason for my verbal folly, and though we shared no blood, I still felt proud. So the next time that you're in a bar, or maybe driving in your car, and see some gal but don't know what to do, don't be snide, don't be cruel, just be nice, cause as a rule she just might be akin to me or you. Don't call them dykes, that's right, D-Y-K-E with no van of on to soften the blow. Don't call them dykes, that's right, you see why I might have a little tale you'd like to know. That's all I've got to say, I've got to go.
Appalachian, Appalachian. Did you catch that one? I still chuckle over that one from time to time. Those of you who remember Schoolhouse Rock might remember a little ditty called How a Bill Becomes a Law. This song, while not musically or thematically an imitation of that song, does pay homage to the original stylistically and in the title. I wrote this song as part of a musical about dealing with cancer and cancer treatment titled The Waiting Room. It's an ode to the ridiculous process that we in the U.S. have to go through to pay for medical treatment. This song was written in 2016 and recorded over the last few years in my studio. Please enjoy How a Flaw Becomes a Bill.
Let's say you're sitting at home, taking a break, but something doesn't feel quite right. So you go to the doctor and they give you a look, then you follow that doctor's advice. Now the doc sends a bill to the insurance company based upon the services rendered, and the insurance company pays the doc, and the flow of services is unhindered. But that's not how a flaw becomes a bill, oh no. That's not how a flaw becomes a bill. When the insurance company gets your bill, it's reviewed by their own physicians to make sure that you're covered and the doc did okay, and that there's no fraud suspicions. But almost always when the payment comes, you'll find that you've taken a whacking. So you call your insurance company to complain, usually with the doctor's backing. But that's not how a flaw becomes a bill, oh no. That's not how a flaw becomes a bill. Then you go round and around and around and around and around. Then you go round and around and around and around and around. to agree, or maybe you just give up and pay that awful fee. And that's how a flaw becomes a bill, oh yeah, that's how a flaw becomes a bill. Then you go round and around and around and around and around. Then you go round and around and around and around and around. For all of my complaining, I just want to say, I still maintain there has to be a better way. And that's how a flaw becomes a bill, oh yeah, that's how a flaw becomes a bill. Yeah, that's how a flaw becomes a bill, that's how a flaw becomes a bill, oh yeah.
This next song, No Means No, was featured in Season 2, Episode 2, Good Advice. Please enjoy it. There's a lot of bad advice in the world, and a lot of it has to do with relationships. But when it came time to teach my son about the birds and the bees, I wanted to make sure that I gave him the best possible advice. Now, I'm not talking about the mechanics of what happens or anything like that. I'm talking about the important stuff. You know, like how to treat another person with respect and, incidentally, how to avoid a rejection. I mean, who doesn't want a nice experience birds and bees wise? I wrote this song in the Audies and recorded it at Scott Lewis's studio in 2004 with the band Horizon. And it's included in my family album collection. Robert Sikkema is on bass, and Dave Brown is on drums. I'm singing the lead and the harmonies by myself, except for the call and response section. Steve Thomas, who normally played lead guitar, opted instead to improvise the hilarious little riff at the end. Don't miss it. Now relax and listen as we play No Means No.
Son, while I lay down the law. It's not my rule, it's just the way things are. You've got to learn about it some way, somehow. That no means no and yes means now. I said that no means no.
No means no.
You hear me? No means no.
No means no.
Ah, but yes, sweet, sweet yes. Yes means now. To pick and choose, unless it's selfish or some kind of brute. Well, a man can only ask while a woman allows, because no means no and yes means now. I said that no means no.
No means no.
You hear me? No means no.
No means no.
Ah, but yes, sweet, sweet yes. Yes means now. The no means no.
No means no.
You hear me? No means no.
No means no.
Ah, but yes, sweet, sweet yes. Yes means now. Well, listen up, son, strike while the iron is hot. 'Cause when she cools down, you've lost your spot. Keep your eyes open, watch for the clues, and never
forget this one simple truth. I said that no means no.
No means no.
Hear me, no means no.
No means no.
Ah, but yes, sweet, sweet yes. Yes means now. Man stays steady from day to day, but woman changes in almost every way. So when the time is right, you better be around, because no means no and yes means now. I said no means no.
No means no.
You hear me? No means no.
No means no.
Ah, but yes, sweet, sweet yes. Yes means now.
Come on, it's Friday night. All my friends are doing it. I know they are. It's not like I'm asking for the end of the world. I mean, come on, we can do yard work. I'll wallpaper. I'll paint. I'll take you out. We can eat. I mean, come on. I mean, how long? You know, it's like, come on. My friends are.
Nice little bit there, Steve. I wasn't really happy with the tempo of the original, and through the magic of software, I was able to increase the tempo by about 10%. Remember the old days when people had to have a speck of reality behind the claims that they made? Nowadays, all you have to do is speculate. All you have to do is raise a question to accuse anyone of anything you want. Is Tim Rose still licking toads? I'm not licking toads. As the old adage goes, you can't prove a negative. Well, I'm not having any of it. I wrote this song a few years ago, and although it may be a bit dated now, I think it has enough universality that it should be good until the thought police catch me. I recorded it at the end of 2021 and in early 2022 in my studio. Please give a listen to Not True.
Just because you say something doesn't make it true. Even though you wish it were, it's still not true. You can pout and shout about it, cry until you're blue. But just because you say something doesn't make it true. Surrounded by your sycophants and those who must agree, there is no room for argument or a dissenting plea. In your view, there is a skew that is all about you. Screw the rest, you'll do what's best for you. Just because you say something doesn't make it true. Just because you heard it somewhere, still not true. You can tweet it and repeat it all that you want to, but just because you say something doesn't make it true. The reason is that reason is the only way to tell what is true and what is false, what works and what will fail. Evidence, cause and effect will tell the tale. So cite the source and think about who loses and does well. Just because you say something doesn't make it true. You can read it on the internet, but still not true. You can make a meme, but that don't mean a thing I can construe. Hey, just because you say something doesn't make it true. You may think you know who this ditty is about. There is at least one person who you know like this, no doubt. But you better take that plank out from your own eye, my friend, and look at how you get your facts before casting aspersions. Just because you say something doesn't make it true. Even though you wish it were, it's still not true. You can pout and shout about it, cry until you're blue. But just because you say something doesn't make it, that don't make it, it's still not true.
I hear bells. Well, I hope you got a hoot out of this episode, assuming you're a hooter. So ends another episode. Thank you for listening. As always, you can subscribe to this podcast or stream or purchase my published work on your favorite source, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, or Amazon. By the way, you can listen to this podcast over your favorite smart speaker / personal assistant AI, including Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri, or Google Home. Just say, play the Tim Toons podcast to listen.